Get ready for another week of Eastlake Wolves Football. The excitement starts now with an amazing pregame show live from the Den. Here are your hosts, David and Jeremy.
Welcome, guys. We are starting week 5 interview pregame show, The Den, with Dave Oliphant and myself, Jeremy Budish. Tonight, we have a host of the Eastlake Wolves offense and defensive line players. Tonight, we have Braeden Painter, Jimmy Reed, Ryder Paterno, Mason Flynn, Cayden Eaton, James Ort III, and Logan Karsh joining us tonight. Dave Oliphant normally would have his camera on. He flew in late tonight from Omaha, had a delayed flight, so he is in transit to Sammamish. And so he is going to take the safe route and not have his camera on tonight. But Dave is joining us as he's making that drive for the interview. So welcome, guys. Appreciate you guys all making the time to join us tonight for our pregame interview for week 5. So we're getting ready for one of the biggest games of the season, at least up on the plateau, the Battle of the Plateau. And we thought it would be fitting to get some of the linemen on here and just talk about, different aspects of that game in the season and how we've gotten to where we are today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions. So my first question, I'll start with Mason Flynn. How would you describe the chemistry among the linemen this season, Mason?
I would say our chemistry is very strong. We've grown a lot on and off the field, and say we all trust each other to do our jobs. And I'd say we keep it fun at practice. I think that's what boosts our chemistry a lot.
Great. I think that's right. I mean, we've seen the line be, very effective this year, a very succinct unit, and I would agree with that. Mr. Ort, how about you? What are your thoughts on the chemistry amongst the line this season?
I'd say our chemistry is pretty tight. We've got a really good brotherhood, and then I just think through our interactions at school and on the field, it just boosts confidence for each other on the field, and it just helps us succeed. Agreed.
No, I think, we had a chance earlier this season to talk to Finn Waldron and Henry, and, they both echoed the same thing. And they talked about, really that brotherhood and the grit that you guys have developed in the off season and then in the preseason. And we're definitely seeing that this year in the performance of the line. So that's great. Let's jump to question 2. I alluded to it as I kicked us off. We got a couple of longtime Eastlake families, the Painters and the Reeds. What does, and we'll start with Brady, what does the Battle of the Plateau rival mean to you personally?
Well, it's a pretty big tradition, we've been battling these guys every single year since youth, and just to play them on their homecoming game, it's pretty big. I have some friends at Skyline, just so if we beat them, when we beat them, it'll just be just a big game and lots of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Brady, this is David. David here. If I could just add on that, Brady, I think about you last year. You missed a season. You had a rough injury. I think about all the way back to 8th grade, and we played Skyline. Some of these same seniors, 2026 seniors. I think most of you guys remember that game like yesterday. We were at Redmond High School, first game of the year. We hadn't beat Skyline. We had tied them a couple times, and then we had the COVID year we missed. And Brady, you had a huge game that year, I remember. And I think about fast forward to now, you missed last year. What is this game on Friday night in front of their crowd, their homecoming? What does it mean to you as an individual going into this week?
It means a lot. I'm just super pumped and excited to be back. I worked hard over this whole off season just to get back and play this game. So I'm super pumped, super excited to play this.
Jimmy.
I feel like this rivalry has been going on since youth football, and I feel like it's very important to everyone on our team. because it's like very impactful. And when we win, it's going to be great.
Yeah, both of us agree. I mean,
Let's go.
I remember that 8th grade game over at Redmond High School. You know, the mood going into the game. I mean, I think a little bit of anxiousness on our team's part, right? Because we had not beaten, Skyline to date. And, that decisive win over there, at Redmond High School really kind of set the tone for that season where that youth team went to the championship game. So I think, great things are coming out of this team this year also.
Mhm.
So James, jumping to you. You playing both sides of the ball, how does that shape your mindset going into a game like this?
Really just comes down to what my job is on both sides of the ball. It's definitely a lot of work, but I just know like if I do my job correctly and I do it right, it will impact the rest of the boys and it will like come out for a positive outcome for the rest of the team. And it's just definitely more thinking, more time spent in the game. It's just more mental preparation.
Great. Agreed. I mean, obviously, you're playing, tight end on the offensive side. You're playing D end on the defensive side. A little shout out to you. I mean, your first, varsity touchdown in that first game, that was a huge thing for you. So congrats to that also. So let's jump over to Logan and Ryder, right? Two guys coming off of a huge game against Woodinville last week. I think Logan had 2 sacks last week, leads the team in sacks. Ryder had a huge standout game. Ryder, you're a first-year player and, coming in and really contributing to the team. As you guys look at this game, what's the energy like in the locker room knowing it's Skyline's homecoming? Let's start with we'll start with Ryder and then we'll go to Logan.
I think we're all really excited for the rivalry and ready to give it our all. And also knowing it's their homecoming has them coming in confident. So we're really going to have to bring it and play hard the whole game.
Hey, Ryder,
Logan?
this is David. How tall are you really? How tall are you really?
I'm just like I'm at 6'6".
and I don't know what your wingspan is, but you had a batted down ball this last week, and Jeremy and I up are in the booth. You never know what to trust on everyone's bios, but you look like a force out there. And as a first-year player, so fun to watch you batting balls and getting back there in the backfield.
Thank you.
Yeah, Logan, let's switch to you. You're a junior player, had a great season last season on the JV squad, coming into your, kind of your first varsity, playing time and had a huge game last week. What's your thoughts on the energy in the locker room knowing it's Skyline's homecoming?
Yeah, kind of like with what Ryder said, I think that everyone's super dialed in and there's a general understanding that, we need to get this done because it's going to be probably the most important game of our entire season.
Agreed. I think, Skyline's having a good season. They got a good squad. It's the battle of the plateau. And so it means something, not only are they there, our enemies, if you will, but they're also our neighbors. So, the bragging rights coming into the game and coming out of the game is a big thing, sets the tone for next year. Let's jump over to, again, Ryder and then Jimmy Reed. We'll start with Ryder. When you're looking at game film of Skyline, what are you preparing for?
One thing I've seen from them is that they're probably going to be, or I know they're going to be really physical up front, especially when it's a rivalry game. That the energy is going to be super high between us. There's going to be a lot of tension. And so we need to up our physicality and play 4 quarters of high energy football.
100% agree. I mean, they, when you go look at and break down their stats, they're also a pass heavy game, right? And so I think, making sure that, on the defensive side of the ball, we're physical and we're getting the pressure we need on the quarterback because you guys have watched film, so have I. He likes to throw the ball. He's effective when he throws the ball. But it also looks like when we get pressure on him, we can definitely get him rattled a little bit. So, how about you, Jimmy? You've had a couple of big games, and let me ask you. I mean, same question Dave asked you, Ryder. You're a big, tall guy. What's your actual height?
Like 6'4".
6'4". Yeah, I mean, two guys up on the offensive defensive side of the ball with huge wingspans and have been real effective. So, what's your thoughts on game film?
I've seen that they pass a lot. I mean, they have a young quarterback, so we're gonna try to get pressure to him and make him make bad decisions.
That's a great game plan. We like I said, watching film, it's evident if we can go get pressure on him, we're definitely gonna get him rattled a little bit. So, hey,
Jimmy, this is David. Just adding on that, just one piece, and this goes back to my youth. That when you have a rivalry game like this, you can take the records of both teams and throw them out the window. You're both 0-0 at this point. You don't like each other. You've played each other since third grade. You played these guys last year. Eastlake has had the edge on varsity high school football against Skyline the last number of years, but historically, Skyline's dominated. Skyline's got multiple state championships and all that. And in the last couple of years, we've had the fortune of being on the road. I remember Ryder Barry Smith and Jake Aaron scoring a touchdown last year against Skyline to secure the game. Now we're on the road. So what can the defense do differently on Friday night to really get the edge on Skyline?
Going back to what Ryder Paterno said, we have to just be really physical up front. That's how you win football games.
What does Coach Hutton say? We play defensively. They want to play with violence, energy, and I mean that's really the mantra of the defensive squad this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting fact, Dave, and you just talked about the rivalry. I went back and looked at the last 10 years, and going into this game, we're split 50-50. Each team has won 5 of the last 10 games. Which I found interesting when I was looking back at the win-loss over the last 10 years. So this is essentially a 0-0 match coming in. You guys get to set the tone. Let's talk a little bit about off-season. So Mason Flynn, you were obviously a big part. You're a senior. You're coming in. Can you share some off-season moments or moment that helped you build that bond as a unit?
Yeah, I'd say a moment from our off season that built our bond a lot was the CWU camp. It was just one of our first chances to try out our skills on the field, and it was just so fun overall. Our team and skills, and we all got closer. I'd say that's a big part.
That's great. Yeah, I heard really good things coming out of Central Washington camp, and the growth that you guys had coming out of there as a unit, right? I mean, played together a little bit down in Tacoma earlier in the preseason, but really kind of first time all together with the coaching staff and the squad, at Central Washington, and everything reported out of there was there's a ton of growth. So flipping back to Brady, what's been the most challenging part of preparing for this week's game, other than the rain?
Well, they run a 3-man front, which we haven't seen before. So just like that kind of different front, we've been preparing for that, just kind of changing some new play variations and adding some stuff. But just kind of the physical grind that we've been preparing for. And you can ask just anyone on the team. Our Tuesday, Wednesday practices are hard, so just preparing for that is good.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, like you said, seeing different fronts, right? We've played a couple of wing T teams that obviously have a different approach to both offense and defense. And now going against Skyline that has that 3-man front, like you said, haven't seen it. So making some shifts, obviously they're scouting us just like we scout them. So, we got to kind of evolve the game. So excellent answer. James, how do you mentally and physically recover between playing both sides of the ball?
For me personally, it's, having a short-term mindset, is say there's like a negative offensive play. I can't drag that onto the defense and then have it affect my teammates. Just, playing in the moment basically, and like not living in the past, just playing in the present.
And what are you doing if you get gassed? How are you letting the coaches know you need a breather or you don't take breathers?
Coach Jones doesn't allow that. It's, hard 4 quarters, but if I do get gassed, it won't be a good day for me. But it's definitely tiring, but it's just part of the game.
That's a fact. Cayden, senior, coming into the year, what's one drill or workout that's made a big difference in your performance this season?
I think a drill that's made a big difference in my performance and the team's is our live for 5. The first few games we came out pretty flat, and then after we implemented the live for 5, like going to the ground, starting off hot. The last few games we've started off the games with a touchdown and a 3 and out on defense, and we've came out hot every single game since then.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you go look at Gig Harbor and Tumwater, and both of those initial defensive stands were super impressive. I would agree, a little bit flack coming out against Williamsfield, so we could see a difference, on those 2 games particularly, for sure. So sounds like that has been effective.
Yeah.
Logan, what's your approach to controlling the line of scrimmage against a rivalry like Skyline?
I think that one advantage that our line has is that our speed is really unrivaled because we're super athletic compared to probably any other line that we've played against. So I think we should probably abuse that ability that we have and just beat them off the line.
Execution, fast off the line, just like everything we talked about, back in youth and JV, right? I mean, you're not, like you said, you guys are not the biggest line, for sure in Kinco, but I do think I agree with you. You guys are an athletic bunch, and so use that to your advantage. 100% agree. Jumping back to Mason, how do you communicate and adjust during the game when switching, between offense and defense?
Yeah, when switching, we kind of just all talk about what we're seeing and call out, try to make the changes accordingly. Like at halftime, we'll have a meeting about what we're seeing, and then just during the game, we'll just go talk to each other about what we need to do going forward on the next play.
Yeah, that communication, for you guys is super key, right? Making sure, you guys are locked in as you're going from, offensive to defensive squad is critical. And I think that's great. Cayden, when you think about all your teammates out there, guys on the video tonight, on the interview, guys that aren't, what teammate on the line do you rely on most in those high pressure moments?
I'd probably say my D tackle, Flynn. We can both get to the quarterback pretty well almost every time, and we work off each other, so cause havoc in the backfield.
Absolutely. Yeah. Finn Waldron, for those of you on, listening tonight, I mean, he's got a motor like no one else, right? I mean, he's a 3rd-year starter. He's one of those guys that shows up every play and gives 110%. For sure, one of the leaders on the squad. Can't say enough about Finn, and guessing on what your answer was going to be, I would have guessed it was going to be Finn. So, yeah, who doesn't like a little bit of Finn Waldron?
Oh yeah.
Okay, jumping over to some fun stuff. Let's start with Brady. When you think about the line, Who's the loudest or funniest guy on the line?
I'd probably say Finn. Like there's times where he's kind of quiet and on some of the practices, but there's other times where he's screaming, jumping around, dancing to music, just having a good time. And that kind of we all kind of do that sometimes. So it's always just kind of a good time in practice. We always make it fun.
So let me have a little add on to that. Who's the smiliest guy on the line?
Ooh, smiliest, probably Jack Devine. He's always laughing about something or whatever.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Paxton. We interviewed Pax last week, and I don't know that Paxton has any face other than a smile, but
Yeah,
I would agree
he is
Jack
always
Devine's
smiling,
also
too.
a smiling guy
Yeah.
for sure. Ryder, how about you? Loudest and funniest guy on the line?
I think a lot of people would agree with this. I'd say one of the funnier people is Cayden. Some of the things he does are just really funny, and they brighten the mood and give everyone high energy throughout practice.
I love Cayden. Yeah, he's a great player, great kid. He's been injured for at least the first 4 weeks. But yeah, he gives a lot of effort when he's out there for sure. And I definitely like being around him when I was coaching him. So I would agree. All right, Logan, if you could describe your line in one word, what would it be and why?
I think just like what I was saying earlier, a good word would be agile, just because of how swift we are off the ball, and it's really our biggest advantage as an athletic defensive line.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, quick, fast, agile. Okay. Last question. I got two of you. So we'll start with Jamie and go to Cayden. When you're thinking about what message you want the Eastlake fans to have ahead of the Battle of the Plateau, what would you want that message to be? So Jimmy?
Just get ready for a show.
Get ready for a show. How many sacks or tackles are you gonna have, Jimmy?
I don't know. Maybe about 6 or 7.
There we go. All right, Cayden, how about you?
I'll say that we're gonna start the game off hot and aggressive, and we're gonna just take over the trenches.
I love it. Yeah. The game's going to be one on the line. We know that. We're talking to the guys that are going to go do it. Before we jump off, Dave, do you got anything else to ask or add?
No, this has been super fun. I just to Brady, I can't help to imagine the 3-man front. I feel like, even going back to 7-on-7 and the last couple of years, this offense has seen a lot of the 3-man front, 3-4 defense. How do you feel blocking the zone, inside, outside zone run game? I mean, Miles Johnson's one of the top running backs in the state. You got to feel good about him running behind you. Maybe even, I'm not sure if number 44 will be back this week or not, but how do you feel about blocking the 3-man front in that zone offense?
I feel great. I'm totally ready to block them. We've been preparing for this, so I'm always ready.
Well, guys, I appreciate you. I know, Jimmy and I are coming in tonight. We're super excited just to hear O-line guys, and sometimes we don't get to call out your name as much on some of the YouTube, live broadcasts, but we really do love you guys, and so many of you guys, we've been part of going back to 3rd and 4th grade, and this really is a big rivalry. I can't wait to be up the hill at Skyline on Friday night watching you guys. I'm sure you're going to be hyped. So best wishes to you guys, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, before we
thank
jump
you.
off, guys, have you guys have all heard of our the pick of the week that Dave and I put out there, the Wolves in the Woods? Have you guys seen that yet on social media or on the YouTube channel? If not, you need to. So go check it out. So every week we're picking players that we feel like are having impacts on the game. This is not sanctioned by anybody other than Dave and I. And last week we got the opportunity to recognize Pax when we had him on. We're doing 2 players every game, so we're doing the skill players and then what we're calling the big skill players who are on the call with us tonight. And we have one of them on, and so I'm gonna throw it up there and share my screen for a second. So Ryder Paterno, week 4, the big skill player, player of the week by Dave and Jeremy. You had a heck of a game last week. I saw you quick after the game. Quite the effort last week for you, coming into your senior season, your first time playing football. And like we were talking before we started the recording, you had a fumble recovery and a bat down and a few other big plays in the game. So congrats and great game last week.
Thank you so much.
And with that, and we'll play that again at halftime when we announce the other player of the week at halftime this week from the live stream. So I appreciate all you guys hopping on tonight. I know you guys got homework and other stuff to do, but like Dave said, it's good to get to know you guys better. We're super pumped. We'll be up in the booth, calling the stream like we always do. And so go Wolves, beat Skyline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Wolf strong, pack strong. Let's go, boys.
Yep.
Oh yeah.